It's Tuesday, the 25th of February, 2025. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 big stories to get through in just 5 minutes, so I better get going. Story number 1, WiseTech Global, one of the best performing stocks of recent years, is in crisis today, Sean, with 4 directors resigning yesterday and plenty of unanswered questions around founder and major shareholder Richard White.
Now, one of the resignations came from the chairman, Richard Damry, also Lisa Brock, Mike Malone and Fiona Pak-Poy all resigned too. The statement to the ASX said it followed intractable differences in the board and differing views around the ongoing role of the founder and founding CEO, Richard White, not helping the company in terms of share price at least, downgrade to earnings outlook thanks to delay in 3 new products. WiseTech share price closed down 20% yesterday. Richard White, very big presence at that company. He's worth $16.5 billion, having founded the group in 1994. Now, earlier this month, Nine reported 3 women had come forward with allegations involving Mr. White. That follows a number of allegations last year involving former partners of Mr. White. He was forced to stand down from as CEO of the company in October last year, but he got a $1 million consultancy reporting to the board. Media reports say that deal hasn't been signed yet, and now we have 4 directors resigning.
It's a very dramatic day, Sean. Have you ever seen 4 directors, all independent, resign from a board en masse like that?
Not that I can recall, no. The fact that WiseTech announced the consultancy 10-year deal last October and still hasn't been signed shows there's trouble afoot. White owns 38% of the company. He's been running it for 31 years, very successful. I mean, that's pretty hard to push someone like that aside. And it's worth noting it's the independent directors that have resigned. It's been 4 months since all that happened last October, and we still haven't found, or WiseTech Global still hasn't found another CEO. Not sure that would be that easy a gig with Richard White as consultant. Its results come out tomorrow. I think we'll find out more about it then.
Yeah, indeed. All right, on to story number 2 now, into politics. The coalition, Sean, has opened up a 52 to 48% lead in the polls on a 2-party preferred basis, although Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's personal approval rating has improved.
Something for everyone in this AFR Freshwater Strategy poll. The election is due in the next couple of months. The poll was first taken after last week's interest rate cut. The swing away from Labor since last election, about 4.1 percentage points. If that occurred across the country, which is unlikely, the coalition could form government, would get 76 seats. That's what you need to form government in the federal parliament. The Freshwater Strategy said the poll suggests an outcome of the coalition winning 70 seats, ALP 67, and 13 very powerful crossbenchers. Anthony Albanese's net approval ratings minus 11%, not as good as Peter Dutton's at minus 8%. Neither great though, let's be honest. Preferred Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, 45 to 43%.
On to story number 3, and Perpetual has walked away from its $2.18 billion deal with KKR after rejecting the private equity giant's last-ditch offer to get the transaction over the line.
Perpetual said it had terminated the scheme of arrangement after the parties were unable to meet on price to salvage the deal for its wealth and corporate trust units. Perpetual and KKR were locked in negotiations for weeks after the tax office surprised the wealth manager in December, indicating it would charge a $500 million tax bill on the move to separate its businesses and remove any franking credit, any franking benefits for shareholders. That pretty much did the deal over. The Australian is reporting that the parties explored alternative structures to unlock value, couldn't come up with it. Perpetual share price was down 2% yesterday, although it is up 16% this year, so it's done pretty well this year.
Story number 4 is interesting, Sean. I mean, they're all interesting, but this one is particularly interesting because demand for petrol and diesel in Australia has hit a new all-time high, notwithstanding this push into electric vehicles by so many consumers.
So Chief Executive of Ampol, Matt Halliday, made that claim about petrol and diesel as he conceded the company's finding the rollout of EV charging stations slower than hoped. Ampol supplies about a quarter of total transport fuel in Australia. Now, the take-up of EVs last year in Australia was flat, declining in New Zealand. And he said, so people are still demanding petrol and diesel, and as you mentioned, at a record level. Ampol reported a big drop in profit for the second half of last year because its Lytton oil refinery has slipped into loss. In terms of the EV charging stations, Mr. Halliday said the big issue is actually about connecting it to the grid and finding green energy to be able to power up the cars. In the end, Ampol's share price closed down 3% yesterday.
Last one, story number 5. Billionaire Atlassian co-founder Mike Cannon-Brookes has accused his former company secretary of secretly emailing confidential information about his private companies to his estranged wife, Annie Cannon-Brookes.
Kevin Chu was terminated as Secretary of Cannon-Brookes Services earlier this month after the company alleged he used his personal email to send documents belonging to the company to Annie Cannon-Brookes and former Chief Financial Officer Catherine Manuel. In 2021, Chu was appointed Company Secretary of Cannon-Brookes Services, the Cannon-Brookes Foundation, and a number of other entities, including the investment vehicle CBC Co. That's the one of which Cannon-Brookes owns AGL Energy. Mike Cannon-Brookes separated from Annie in 2023. She stepped down from the company soon after. They've not finalised the division of assets, estimated to be worth $24.4 billion. I dare say this is where this all emerges from. Cannon-Brookes is now pursuing Chu in the Supreme Court of New South Wales to prevent him from using or sharing any confidential information. Chu's lawyer said his client denies wrongdoing.
All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It is Tuesday, the 25th of February, 2025. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes just isn't long enough for you, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.